Hello everybody. I thought I would share with you today my hydration and nutrition strategy for my very first marathon at Brighton. Now it's important to say that what I have used, the products that I chose to use, I explored thoroughly throughout my training, and when I came to select them I knew they would work for me and would be most beneficial. Obviously each individual is different and what works for me will not necessarily work for you, and there are plenty of people that were on the day just relying on what was available to them. The energy gel on offer on the day was High 5 energy gel, and obviously they were just taking water as and when it was available, which I personally don't think was often enough. It would have been nice to have it available more frequently throughout the marathon itself, but I'll explain to you what I was using and then why that might be slightly relevant. So the two products which I was using on the day were Tailwind, which is here and I'll speak about that in a moment, and Huma gels, which again I'll talk about in a moment. So the idea behind what I wanted to do was that I would have Tailwind and it would be in one of these here. This is my Nathan Quick Draw. I absolutely love it. I use it on my half marathons and it just sits in the hand like that. Pull it tight and you can just then have that hand free. In here is enough room for 3 gels, and the shorts that I wear can also accommodate 2 gels as well. So basically that's taken care of. What I decided to do, I didn't take that big bag that you just saw with me because that's a scoop bag. What I did take down though were the sachets. So the flavour I opted for was the Raspberry Buzz flavour. So this is a carbohydrate and electrolyte endurance fuel mixed with added caffeine as well. So that's got the additional caffeine in it. There are a number of other flavours and I'll talk about the flavours in just a moment. So what I did was they recommend to have one of these sachets per 500 ml of liquid, and the bottle I've got there I think it's about 680. So I had about 1.5 in the end because what I could have done was to put in, I think it's 3 or 4 of these into that bottle, which would have meant the mix was very thick, and I would be using that and taking sips throughout the marathon and then enjoying water when it was appropriate. I didn't really want to do that, and actually I messaged Tailwind, the guys at Tailwind, and just said, look, I've got an opportunity I think here for me to have 2 of those bottles on the go. So I filled both bottles equally with a less concentrated mix but the correct concentration for the job. Fill it with water. I was using Lucozade Fit water, and have a second bottle placed at the halfway point, because up until now that bottle has served me absolutely fine for half marathons and slightly beyond as well. I've used it for a 20 miler also. So that was my idea, and so what I did was I had the Tailwind in there, which I prepared in the morning of, had that bottle to hand, and had our family member at the halfway point, a point we decided whether it'd be a handover, and I would give one bottle, take the other, which has obviously already got the Tailwind in it. And if you'll be familiar with the Kipchoge bottle handover video, insert clip now. So what I love about that is the enthusiasm. I actually shared it with a family member and said, look, it'd be great to have a handover like this, wouldn't it? And actually I'll insert the clip now of our handover, which was captured. Okay, so I took the second bottle. The idea behind that was that towards the end of the race I was actually going to just kind of throw the bottle to one side. I didn't throw it, by the way. I actually placed it so it could be disposed of sensibly and safely, with the idea that when I was running to the finish line I didn't really want the bottle in my hand. I've got enough pictures of me running with the bottle in the hand, and I know it's a little bit of an ego thing I suppose, but I just thought actually running to the finish line I want to be free of it all. I just want to be head up, focused, see the line and go for it, which is what I did. So one thing I've learned from this is the Raspberry Buzz is quite a sweet flavour. Now that served me really, really well so far. I've enjoyed that during a race. A nice sweet flavour, it's great. I found with that and the Huma gels, by mile 20 I was getting a little bit tired of the constant sweetness, because these Huma gels here come in a number of flavours, and what I actually did was I took down this box, and this box has got a number of different flavours in it, and I selected the ones that I wanted to take. So what I did have was a mixture of electrolyte boost ones and just the standard flavours. So I think I had a strawberry and mango, blueberry, the standard. I had the blackberry and banana. I had a strawberry lemonade. And I had, is it to hand? No, it's not to hand here. Pomegranate and raspberry, I think it is. So what most people would do is just use Tailwind on its own. I found the blend of the two works really well for me, and I've never found myself to be hitting that wall, so to speak. So what I did to combat the sweetness was just made sure that whilst I was out on course, I was drinking just water as is as well, because that just sort of tended to cleanse the palate and meant the next time I took a sip or took on board a gel, it wasn't sort of adding to that already sweet flavour I had in my mouth. And whilst I was out on course, I took a couple of orange segments, but wow, how messy do your hands get with orange, and I've got sticky hands. The only other error I made was that I numbered my bottles 1 and 2 with the idea that this old bottle, which I've had for a little while now, I was going to discard and keep my new bottle. Well, you can imagine what happened. I wrote the wrong numbers on it, so this is still the old bottle, and the new bottle is somewhere in Brighton. So if you find that, you're welcome to it. It's used once. Anyway, they're about £8. It's not a real big deal. So I use a combination of Tailwind and Huma gels. They work really, really well for me. So that was that really. Now, in terms of, I suppose, the lead up to the race, 7 days before, I observe a plant-based lifestyle, and so leading up to the race, especially the last 7 days, I ate very, very cleanly, lots of fresh food, and yeah, just kept it as clean as I possibly could. And the morning of, I decided to obviously to have porridge, which most people do have. Now, the hotel I was staying in, I booked it a year in advance, and when I booked it, I hadn't really had any thoughts about nutrition at that point. I had no idea what I was doing, so I didn't opt to have the breakfast in the morning. Now, I did actually get an email a few days before saying that we'll be serving porridge, but I got in contact with them, and the whole thing around soy milk and things was a bit vague, and I just thought I can't rely on that. I don't want to be served a bowl of porridge with cow's milk. So I took my own, just kind of in a pot, add boiling water, and I took a little bit of what did I take? What was it now? I think it was some vanilla soy milk. I just added it to it and mixed it all up, and that was fine. I actually took down 2 servings of porridge. I only had 1 in the end. I wasn't in the right place to be eating 2. I probably should have forced it down just for the additional energy, and with the race starting, by the time I got off the starting line, it was about 10 o'clock, and I'd eaten earlier, probably about 7:30. I think that time was just a little bit too long. I probably should have eaten some more. But overall, that was a strategy that I used. Yeah, 2 bottles, 1 swapped out at the halfway point, Tailwind and Huma gels, and they served me really, really well. So linked also, by the way, to the sweetness of the Tailwind, the different flavours, and I think actually this flavour here, which is a green tea flavour, I would recommend, because it's quite a neutral taste. It doesn't actually taste of green tea, but it's got more similarities to green tea than any other flavour. But it's a little bit more neutral, a bit more palatable, especially when you've already got some pretty sweet gels here. So anyway, I thought I'd just share that with you. It may be of some interest, it may not be of some interest, but they're interesting products to try. If you're in the market to look at something new, I would recommend you take a look at Tailwind and take a look at Huma gel. The only thing about Huma gel is they're only available on Amazon. They're a US company, and so at the moment that's pretty much the only place you can get. Tailwind as well, you can get them in some sports shops, cycling shops, most readily available there. Otherwise it's Amazon as well. I'll pop the links below. Have a look, just see if the product looks of any interest to you. So we can get some sample packs of the Tailwind. Huma gels, unfortunately, you just buy as is. You can't get any sample packs. But I start off with Tailwind with a sample pack, and that was good for me. They do all sorts of like rebuild and recovery and all sorts of other bits and pieces as well. But anyway, I hope you found that of some use, and any questions, just drop them in the comments below, and I'll respond to them as soon as I can.